Y'all mind if I just step in? Hey guys, what's going on? So, I guess this is the first episode of me telling you guys about different things that's happened to me over the few years I've been casting, and maybe a little bit of life stuff as well. But I thought I'd start off with more casting orientated stories, just because I think that's a little bit more interesting, at least to viewers that may not know me as much or as well. Now, I will start off with stories about Ukraine when I was there for 2018, season 1, 2, 3, and season 2019, season 1 of Contenders in EU. I casted Korean contenders as well from the Ukraine when that was handed over to us, the EU side of things, and a couple of the NA casters as well. So, the Ukraine. It's a very interesting place to live. Not many people speak English. The ones that do normally are younger people. There aren't many people that you can kind of communicate with in restaurants, and sometimes it is pretty tough without a translator, which was a problem every now and then. Although we wouldn't spend too much time outside because half the time we were there was just cold, snowy, and sometimes rainy. It was pretty miserable. But one of the big things that I found living in Ukraine was the massive disparity between, I guess, the rich and poor, you could say. A lot of the buildings look like they were built in the Cold War. And then on the other side of the street, you'd have really high end apartments, which looked odd. And it was a little bit jarring, a little bit more jarring than most places I've ever been to. When I was in New York a long, long time ago, I remember it being a little bit jarring with some poor neighborhoods and then more high end neighborhoods almost next to each other. But in Ukraine, it was very apparent, super apparent. And to the point where when me and Trid, I believe, in season two, I want to say, of 2018, when we were living together, we were in an apartment building that looked super modern. Like it was built maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was brand new, and it felt it. It looked really high end, and we'd see these interesting guys hanging out around the apartment complex, or at least downstairs in the lobby, and where their cars were parked. I say cars, they were basically massive black Jeeps with tinted out windows. They were huge Eastern European guys, the size of four of me, and they were escorting somebody. Didn't know who it was, but it was somebody. And they were always having, they always had 2 to 3 cars that would escort this 1 to 2 people. It was like a guy, like a man and a woman normally. Sometimes just a man, sometimes it was just a woman they were escorting. And it was quite clearly an escort because they would always get in the second car with two of the other guys, and then another black SUV would drive in front of them. And then sometimes there was a third one outside as well, waiting to drive behind the people that they were escorting. It was very strange. Very strange. And just down the road from that apartment was actually lots of designer shops, Prada, Gucci, you name it. Designer wise, like it'd be there. It'd be there. Sephora, Swarovski, that kind of thing. They were all there. And then down the road from that was definitely a poorer part of Kiev where we lived along it. Like I said, it was extremely jarring going from neighborhood to neighborhood kind of thing. It was very odd seeing kind of homeless people or people that were begging, and then straight up the road, 2 minutes away, there's loads of designer shops that people are spending a lot of money in. Clearly, we actually lived next to a very bougie, like boutique wine cellar, and we never went in there. We I didn't really drink much wine, and I started to drink a little bit of white wine towards the end of 2018, but that's when I really started drinking that stuff, and I kind of regret not trying some of it because some of the stuff I did buy in 2018 was pretty bad. It was like £2 a bottle, and it was okay, but it just, yeah, it tastes a little bit like paint strippers. So I did kind of learn my lesson. Buying cheap wine is never really a good thing, but yeah, no idea who they were escorting. Going back to that story, and no idea who they were, whether they were politicians, mafia bosses. I don't know, but there were some very nice apartments with some interesting people in them. Didn't really see anybody else in those apartments, by the way. It did feel like it was just me and Trid. That was it. We saw one other English person there, and they were there just visiting a friend. They said it was just an Airbnb they rented out, and that was it. It felt like the apartment complex was basically empty. Maybe because it was so expensive and everybody else that was living around it, it was more of a poor part of the street. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, and just down the road from there was where our apartment was in 2019. So me and Trid again stayed together in 2019 of season 1 for 2 months. And that was a pretty nice apartment, actually. It was right next to a supermarket, which was really obviously helpful. And it was next to loads of nice restaurants too. But it was the same kind of stark contrast. One side of the street looked very high end. The other side of the street, not so much. And the roads leading off of that, not so much. The buildings looked like they were built in the World Wars or the Cold War. We have some of those still in the UK, which have been turned into council housing. You can probably hear that plane going overhead, or helicopter, or whatever it is. That's pretty loud. I do apologize. But yeah, again, it's just the stark contrast was insane. So much so, in fact, there were lots of street performers and circus game people. I don't know. It was sometimes like a miniature circus happening down our street. It was really strange. There was a few people that had monkeys on the street, and they were just wanting tourists or whoever walking past to basically take photos with the monkeys, and you'd have to pay them. And there were points, especially when we first moved in, where they would approach you, and if they heard you speaking English, they'd hound you a little bit more than they would if you were speaking Ukrainian. At a point, we were like niet, niet, like no, in Ukrainian or Russian, or I forget which one's which, but niet. I'm 99% sure that's Russian for no, but anyway, they'd understand it because some Ukrainians speak Russian, and niet is quite a common phrase. So we just got to saying niet because we didn't want anything to do with these monkeys. Because there was one time, and the reason why we started doing this, there was one time where me and Trib went to McDonald's, and we were walking back to our apartment, and the guy's come up to us, and I'm walking with Trid, and I'm just chatting or whatever, and he puts the monkey on my fucking shoulder. Like, I have McDonald's in my hand, both hands, one drink, one bag full of food. And then the guy comes up, places this monkey on my shoulder. The monkey did look fairly adorable, though. He was in a coat, bearing in mind this is in Ukraine, so it's pretty cold some of the time. The monkey was in a coat, and he had a coat on his tail as well. Literally a giant sock on his tail, because the monkey was probably freezing, because the monkey definitely didn't come from Ukraine, I can tell you that right now. So he put it on my shoulder, and I'm like, no. I'm like, no. That's Vidania. Trying to say goodbye. It's like, please take this fucking monkey off my shoulder. I want to go eat my McDonald's. It's getting cold. And I walked a little bit. I'm like, no, this monkey needs to get off, man. I'm not sure if this monkey is going to bite me for this food. I don't want him stealing my lunch. Like, please just get this monkey off me. I'm like, just trying to look at the guy like, no, please, bro. I just want to eat my McDonald's. Like, I just want to leave. Please let me go. And he obviously took it off. He clicked his fingers, and the monkey ran jumped from my shoulder and ran up his arm. And after that point, we were just determined to either avoid them or just walk past them, and just say, yeah, just look down, look at the floor, just no, fuck this. I'm not messing with these monkeys. I'm not messing with these guys. I don't want to take a damn photo with this monkey. And we want to go get McDonald's. We want to go get, Menya, which is a ramen place. Surprisingly enough, just some of the best ramen I've ever tasted, by the way, from this place called Menya. It was sick. I do miss that place. And Dread, if you're watching this, we need to go. If we ever go back to Kiev, we're going to go to Menya. Yeah, so that was kind of annoying. They did start recognizing us, in fact, because we were there for 2 months. So after about a month or so, they started recognizing us. And even though we were taking detours, trying to get around these people, they would ignore us for the most part, because we basically saw them every other day, because we lived so close to them, and we needed to get basically past them to do anything, go to the gym, go out for food or whatever. Luckily, the shops were on the other side of the street, so we just had to cross, and then we'd be at the shop. So that was okay. So we didn't see them literally every day, but they did stop harassing us at one point. There were also carnival games. on the streets too, which is kind of strange. So they have one of those rope bridges that are suspended, so you have to climb them and keep your balance. And if you get to the top, you win some money. Couldn't read the signs because obviously they're in Ukrainian, but I could recognize you could win money if you reach the top. I think you won the equivalent of like £5. So like, I don't know, $7 or something if you reach the top. But yeah, obviously we didn't have a go on that. There was the hammer and the bell thing, you know, when you hit the thing on the ground with the hammer and the thing goes up and it hits the bell, and strength test kind of thing. There was one of those too. There was actually a really good mariachi person that we always walk past on the way to a different place that we used to eat at. He was actually really good. He was my favorite busker, I guess you could say. And there were also sometimes student dance groups too, which we did notice, but it was a very kind of communal place to be. There was the subway station there, and there was a lot of other places that people just went to, boutique shops and, you know, different restaurants and whatnot. But those monkeys, God rest them. Like, I want them to be back at their wherever they came from. They do not need to be in Ukraine. I don't know where they got those monkeys from, but damn, those monkeys were freezing cold, I bet. Definitely not used to 1 degree Ukrainian weather, you know, 1 degree C. Ukraine was, or like Kiev, I should say, was a fairly nice place to live, and I do regret like despising it a little bit because it was bleak and miserable some of the time, especially in the winter, and I didn't want to go outside. No one did, so we'd only go out for shopping and whatnot. But it was a nice place, to be fair. The restaurants were good that we went to, and we got shown by Vlad, one of our talent managers, who's now moved on from his position and is now doing something else and traveling by the looks of it. I follow him on Instagram, and he's always traveling, so I'm hoping he's doing well. Vlad was just the best human being, took after us, and obviously helped us with translation of a lot of things and helped us in restaurants and even just recommending us a lot of places. Even set us up with a gym membership as well, which was awesome. When me and Trib wanted to sign up for that, and we had to drag Vlad along, you know, God rest his soul. Like, we were calling him up for everything at that point, and he got us SIM cards and everything, so we could actually use a phone and they could contact us, etc., etc. And yeah, so, you know, I'm really thankful for Vlad, and I do miss working alongside him. But yeah, Ukraine was a nice place to live. In the summer, it was good. Me and Sam ended up going out a little bit. Sam went to Chernobyl, or like, you know, on the edge of Chernobyl. She took a whole day out once and just went there, took loads of photos and whatnot. And they did, her and Des in fact did that, and then they did some museums and whatnot too. They also went to the zoo, I believe. I didn't end up going to the zoo because I was like, meh. I was really not into the zoo at that point, and it was pretty cold. We didn't explore as much as I kind of wanted to, and I definitely would do that now, knowing that my time in there was pretty fleeting. Yeah, I think you take it for granted, and especially with the cold weather, like I said before, you'd want to stay inside. But in that one summer that we did spend there, I kind of regret not doing a little bit more stuff, especially when it came to historical thing. I do have a couple of more stories about living there, but overall, it was a pretty nice place to live. And like I said, I do kind of regret not exploring it a little bit more. We did find this nice Korean place, actually. And we went for budae. I really like budae, but they didn't serve it the way you normally serve budae. They basically just gave you like a rice bowl and then like a single pot, like a single, so not pot, but bowl of it, rather than just like a big sharing kind of thing. It was nice enough. And it was Korean owned as well, so I was able to like order and stuff in Korean, which is nice. But it wasn't served the way I thought it was, which was a bit odd. And that was like, I think it was Trid's first time tasting budae. Same with Blank, when it was me, Trid, and Blank that went out, and that was nice, but it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. Also, I didn't really expect there to be Korean food in Ukraine, but hey, we found one place. It was pretty good. Maybe you go there if you ever visit Kiev, but try the seafood and sushi in Kiev. That's my main advice. The sushi in Kiev is surprisingly good considering they're not near the coast, and salmon and stuff being fairly expensive, and fish in general. Really odd, but it is really, really good. And like I said before as well, ramen is there as well. In a place called Menya is just actual top tier. I've had better ramen in Ukraine than I've had in London, or at least on par with it. It's pretty damn fire. That's going to be it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be releasing a few more of these. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. All those links will be down in the description below. Twitch as well. I do stream, and I can't imagine anybody that doesn't know me knows that I don't stream. So, go follow that if you want to. Instagram as well. That'd be great. I do post regularly on there, casting shots from the events we've been doing and whatnot. But yeah, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.